it's Christina. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be making a card today using some newer Simon Says stamp items. I have the Happy Christmas by CC Design. It's a die cut that has the Happy Christmas along with the shadow. It's really cute. And then I have this 3D embossing folder, which is called the Textured Pine Trees. And probably can't see it on camera, but you'll see it once we emboss it. I also pulled out my A2 layering dies by Waffle Flower. And then I have some cardstock also. I have Crimson by Spellbinders. I have some Avocado by Papertrey ink. Some Kraft cardstock, which is also Papertrey ink. And then some Neenah Solar White cardstock for die cutting, as well as a card base. And then I'm also going to be bringing in a couple of other little things as we go along. I'm going to start off with doing some die cutting first. I have the Waffle Flower dies. I'm going to use the 3rd and 4th from the largest for die cutting today. I'm going to start off with the ripe avocado and using the largest one that I pulled out. I need to make sure that I'm using the largest one that I pulled out. Yep. And I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. I am so far loving the Griffin die cutting machine. It's fantastic. I have had no issues with it, and it die cuts beautifully. All right, so we have our ripe avocado, and then I'm going to take the smaller die and do that with the Kraft cardstock. And since I have my die cutting out, I might as well go ahead and get all of my die cutting done. First, I'm going to cut the outline of our Happy Christmas onto some vellum. And then I'm going to die cut a couple of times, probably 3 times, the Happy Christmas. So we're going to get that all die cut and then we'll be back. I also want to create a little poinsettia bouquet. So I am going to die cut some poinsettias and some leaves. This is from Spellbinders Christmas Bloom. This, I believe, came out last year. And it's a great set. It has lots of great little kind of floral pieces for the holidays. We're going to get that die cut out. I'm going to cut out the larger one twice and then 1 set of the green leaves. So next I just wanted to use my 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to use my Platinum 6. Now, one thing I have noticed, and I know I have an older Platinum 6, it's not one of the newer models, and I am using the universal plates, but the sandwich for 3D embossing folders, when especially these real thick ones like Simon Says stamps, or if you're using the Tim Holtz ones, they are super thick, so I have to kind of modify this a little bit, and I do an A plate, the embossing folder, and then an acrylic plate. And sometimes I even have to come in with a piece of cardstock just to get it so it's a little bit thicker. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that anyways. I ended up having to take that piece of cardstock out. It was just a little too thick. Sometimes it depends on the embossing folder, but Simon Says stamp and the Tim Holtz ones, I have a hard time getting them through my machine. All right, I'm going to use Concord 9th Premium Pigment White ink and a little dauber. And I am going to use this to put a little highlights on my tree and the snow. And then we can set this aside and let it dry. All I'm doing is just lightly rubbing over the trees. I don't want to push too hard and get too much white ink on there, but we're just going to do a nice soft coating. I just love how the white just brings out the detail of the embossing folder, especially when you're using a Kraft cardstock when it's hard to see. So I'm just lightly going over just to pick up those snowflakes that are falling. And there we go. That's really pretty. I like the way that comes out. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and start putting together my layers of my Happy Christmas sentiment. I cut out 3 layers so that I can stack them together, just so I can add some dimension, because it'll be impossible to add dimension to all these little tiny letters. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. I just want to add a little bit of shading to my poinsettias. So I'm using some Distress Oxide ground espresso to create a little bit of darker edge on the edge of the petals of my poinsettia here. And then I am going to also do that on the leaves as well. And I'm just going to use the espresso with that as well. I have those all inked up, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting my Happy Christmas together. And I'd like to use tweezers. I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive and just add some dots to the back of it. And it just makes it easier for when I place it on there. If I need to move it around at all, I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to place my Happy right onto my vellum piece. And then we'll add Christmas right underneath our Happy. And the only thing I need to do is find the dots to my eye, which are off to the side here. And there we go. We have our Happy Christmas there. And then we are going to go ahead and start layering up our poinsettia. So I'm just going to add a little dot of glue on the poinsettia. I'm going to take, whoops. And then I'm going to take the next layer and I'm just going to actually put the petals in between and opposite each other so that it helps fill in the space. Just like that. And then I will take the smaller layer, put a little dot of glue there, and then do the same thing. I'm going to do opposite and set that right in the middle. And then I like to take my tweezers and just hold them all into place and let that dry. While my poinsettia is drying, I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to take my Kraft piece and put it onto my ripe avocado piece that we cut out a little bit larger than our Kraft. So I'm just going to stick that right on there. Just like that. And then I can take my Happy Christmas sentiment, and then I will take my poinsettia and probably put it somewhere right around here. So I'm going to put my Happy Christmas. This is probably nice and dry, so I'm going to grab my tweezers for this. For my Happy Christmas, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add dots of glue on my Happy and Christmas so that you can't see it through the vellum. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. I have lots of dots of glue on this card from putting all the little dots on for all the different layers and now the vellum. So I'm going to let this sit. I'm actually going to, I think we might be okay there. All right. So we're going to decide where we want to put our poinsettia. I think I'm just going to put it right up here in the corner. Yep. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some glue to the back of that, and we'll put that right there. And then what I can do now is pick up my petals and kind of give that a little bit of dimension. So pretty. And then we'll go ahead and do our leaf. So I'm just going to put the leaf right over on this side. That is my larger one. And then I'll take my smaller one and also stick that in there as well. I've got the dropsies today. I keep dropping everything. Stick that right there. And then make sure those are down really well. So I added some foam tape to the back of my green cardstock. I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive to this just to make it a little easier for when I am putting this down onto my card base. And we're not quite done yet. I still have just one more thing I want to do. So I'm going to stick this right down into the center of our card base. I think I'm going to do one more thing. I actually have two things I want to do. I'm going to pull these off since they're still a little wet. It's not going to cause any damage. I have this little bow that I tied, and I thought that would be cute right here. So I am going to adhere this down. I'm going to put a little extra glue, and this is just some linen thread that I tied together. Make sure that's down in the glue really well. And then we'll go ahead and add our poinsettia right to the center of this. It just gives a little extra texture to our card. And then I'll also stick my leaves back in here as well. So we'll get those right back in there. I just feel like that adds a nice little extra texture. I'm going to take my tweezers and I am going to stick that right underneath there just to hold those leaves into place while the glue dries. I'm just adding a couple sequins to my card. These are this calls for Confetti, and it's called Sparkle All the Way, which is perfect for a Christmas card, isn't it? So we're just going to add a couple of these. I'm putting 5 of them on here, and it helps draw your attention from and balance out the card a little bit, because if it's a little heavier up on the top here, we have a little something down here to kind of help balance the card and design out a little bit. I did a little card surgery because I felt like my poinsettia was making my card look like it says Nappy Christmas, although who doesn't like a good nap on Christmas? And that's my card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will leave a link to all of the supplies down below in the YouTube description if you would like to check them out. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.